Welcome, friends. Welcome, everybody. We are at episode 199. Very excited, right, Lou?
Yes, very. Yeah,
Looking forward to hitting the 200 episode mark.
I know. Pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, feels like we just started yesterday.
Almost amazing. That's the second most amazing stat right now. The most amazing stat to me is we're listened to in over 60 countries. Over 60 countries. People
Wow.
are listening to us. Yeah.
Wow. What are some of these countries?
I'll get a list for you.
All
I'll
right, great.
forward a list to you, but we're topping 60 right now.
Nice. Very
Mhm.
nice. Thanks, Lou. All right. So, friends, if you've listened to the previous episodes, you know that last time we talked about any action that you do, whether it be making a real estate investment or starting a relationship, all of these are actions that you're doing. And we said that they're based on three building blocks of any action. One is knowledge of real estate that makes you say, well, I know about real estate. I want to go into this. I want to do this real estate venture. The second is the action itself. Oh, I've done this action. I've done real estate before, so I feel more comfortable in doing it, as opposed to somebody that says, I don't have any knowledge of real estate. I've never done it before. Therefore, I'm not taking this action. Or a relationship where you know what a relationship is. You have the knowledge of the person and you've been in relationships before, just as an example. Or building something. You know how to build something, you know how it's built, you know what it does, and you've built this before, you feel more comfortable doing it. And the last one was the doer. Those were the three building blocks. If you're not familiar with it, I suggest going back to episode 198 and listening to that. So today we're going to be talking about actions, also known in Sanskrit as karma. So actions, we said, if everybody does these actions, whether you go into building a boat or building a cabinet or a house, why is it that 1,000 people building a house, everybody will build it differently? Because the knowledge of how to build is different. The action that you're doing is different, and the actor, the one who's doing it, the doer, is different. And so why should it be different? Because each one of us has different mixture of qualities. We are either sattvic or rajasic or tamasic, and we've discussed what the differences are. A sattvic person is like a perfectionist, uses very skilled ways of doing things. A rajasic is just eager to just get it done and get the rewards and get it done quickly. And a tamasic is just too lazy, just doesn't want to do anything. So now we're talking about actions in the next three verses that we're going to do today, 23, 24, and 25. Sattvic actions, rajasic actions, and tamasic actions. So sattvic actions, verse 23, also called sattvic karma, how we respond to a stimulus or to our own internal desires or drives, because that's what makes us do things. We have a desire. You either act because somebody did something to you, so you're acting as a response to that, or you have an opportunity, you do act because you have an opportunity, or you have a desire to do something, you have a drive to do something. All depends on your vision of yourself, the world, and God, and your drives. So that's how we respond based on that. Now, each one of us has an obligatory duty in this world, right?
Mhm.
I don't want to, we've talked about this before. In Sanskrit, it's known as niyat karma or nitya karma. And you ought to do that niyat karma. That's your obligatory duty, and that's a sattvic action. If you do that niyat karma without attachment to it, right? That's first. No attachment. If you don't have attachment, that duty, that action does not produce more attachment. So we've talked about before, when you do something, when you desire something, if you have attachment to it, it actually produces more attachment, more desires. So you do it, you're doing a duty, which is your obligatory duty. You need to do it. You need to take care of your children. They're dependent on you. You produce the child. It is your duty to take care of that child without attachment. You're doing it because it ought to be done. You would do it just the same if it was your brother's child or your neighbor's child or a total stranger's child without attachment. Then the next quality is to make it a sattvic karma, without raga or dvesha, without likes and dislike. I like doing this, I don't like doing this. No. You just do it because you ought to do it without likes or dislike. You don't allow that thought of I like doing this come to your mind. You don't allow that thought to say I dislike doing this to come to your mind. And lastly, and this is very important, without any thought of what is my reward going to be? What am I going to get out of this? Who's going to say good things? My wife's going to come and say, oh, you took care of the baby, you changed his diaper. Oh, she's going to give you a pat on the back. No, nothing in terms of reward from anybody or any, whether it be verbal praise or monetary or fame or profit or anything like that. And no fruit from this or no result. You're not looking to say, my desire is that I do it and it comes out really good. Even that is not allowed. No desire for fruit. That's a sattvic action. Verse 24, rajasic action. A rajasic action, if a person has a longing for a desired object, and he's doing the action because he wants it, a piece of real estate, a relationship, money, power, fame, that's a desire thing. He's doing it to get that, then that's a rajasic action. Or it is done with egoism. I did this, I got it. So people say, oh my God, look at him, he made such a fantastic deal. That is a rajasic action. And it has consequences. And it is done with a lot of effort. Rajasic actions are often done, almost always done with a lot of effort. Why? Because it is actually, believe it or not, going against your grain, doing that rajasic action. I'll talk about that in a second. Whereas a sattvic action is going with the grain. You may do it as it ought to do it, but it's going against the grain because part of you knows and recognizes that you're doing what you ought to do. So it takes less effort to do that, believe it or not. The focus is not on the duty in a rajasic action. It's not on the duty. That's not where your focus is. Whereas a sattvic person says, my focus is on the duty because it ought to be done. The rajasic person focus is on selfish desires. What can I get out of it? What will come of this? What will be the outcome? What will be the result? The focus is on a strong sense of doership. I did it. I want everybody to know I did it. The focus is on his desires, his likes, his dislikes. I like doing this, so I'm doing it. I don't like doing that, so I'm not going to do that. That's where the focus is. Rajasic likes and dislikes propel the action. I'm doing it because I like doing it. I'm doing it because this is what it's going to get me in the long run. That's a rajasic action. Because I'm doing it, I have to put in a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of energy, because it's, believe it or not, against my grain. Going against the grain means you are doing it because you want something out of it. At some level, even within yourself, you know that that's not the right reason to do things. Those are selfish. Therefore, it takes more effort. Also because your mind is not peaceful and calm doing it. Your mind is agitated, desire-ridden. More effort, more emotions, more energy, and taking more time. Those are rajasic actions. Sattvic action is for the welfare of others, for the welfare of the community, for others. So you say, I'm not involved. I have nothing to do with this. I'm doing it because it ought to be done. So it takes less time, less effort, less energy, less stress on your part, and therefore less emotion as part of it. That's the rajasic action. Then comes the tamasic action. Tamasic action is done without regard. This is interesting. Most of us do rajasic actions. Most of us also do tamasic action at different times. A tamasic action is where, focus on this because we all tend to do this and then we regret it. A tamasic action is usually an action which you do and then you say, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. That's a tamasic action. You do a tamasic action without regard to the consequences. You don't think, what could happen if I do this? Tamasic action often results in injury or insult to others. Mm-hmm. Injury or insult, meaning even if you just not insult me, you're a stupid person, nothing like that. But insult meaning it hurts somebody. Tamasic action is done without even thinking whether I can do that action. When you do an action, I give you the example of a real estate deal or a business opportunity. You don't just do it because some agent comes to you and says, hey, there's this building for sale or this business for sale or land to sell. You say, or he says, oh, you can build something over here. You say, okay, fine, I'll do it. That's a tamasic way of doing it. You don't know the first thing about real estate or building anything. You don't want to go into that. You shouldn't. So a tamasic action is done without regard to whether I can actually do that or whether you can complete the job. You take on something that you say, I have done this before, but this may be a much bigger thing than you've done before. So can you complete it? Do you have the means? Do you have the wherewithal? Do you have the finances? Do you have the support of others to complete? Do you have the abilities, your capacity to do it? How old are you? Maybe it's not going to happen within your lifespan. All of those things need to be factored into it. A tamasic action is propelled by ignorance, by confusion. You say, I'm so confused. I just want to make, that guy did these business things and he made so much money. I can do the same. That's confusion. You're not the same as that guy.
Right.
Unclear thinking, anger often says, oh, he did it. I'll show him. I'll do even better. That's confusion and anger resulting in unclear thinking. There's no thought of consequences if you make a mistake. Go to the casino. I'll just bet a lot of money on red because I think red will come, and then I'll make that money and I'll go home and I'll show my family. But no consequences. What if it doesn't? What if you get the exact opposite? I never thought. I'm so sorry. That's the consequence.
Yeah.
Unhappiness to the doer of this tamasic action and to everybody else around him. That's a tamasic action. It causes loss of relationships. Your wealth may suffer. There may be physical violence with tamasic actions such as road rage. Road rage is a tamasic action. Person says, he cut me off. I'll show him. I'm going to speed up. And usually there will be injury to yourself, injury to others, total insult, damage, all kinds of consequences. Alcohol causes it. Impure thinking causes it. Drugs cause it. Other chemicals in your system, too much coffee, too much tea, not enough sleep, all of that causes this. Or just having bravado, just wanting to show off to people causes tamasic thinking. So these were the three actions, friends. Sattvic action, I hope you can lean more and more towards sattvic. And you need to make notes, go over these pointers that the Gita gives us, and think about it, write it down, concentrate. It takes work, but you may say, I'm too old now. It's not my time. But if you do it, whatever you do, don't forget, it's going to go into your samskaras. You're going to take it into the next life. Your next life will be better. It can't be wasted. And next episode will be episode 200. I hope you join us then. And until then, all the best to you.